Welcome to Endurance Noise Live. It is Wednesday, August 12th, 2020. Still trying to figure out how to use this. This Wednesday, there's some news. Yesterday, we had the fastest known time of bad water to the top of Mount Whitney. And Harvey posted yesterday, said, "We did it, the fastest time from the lowest to highest place on the continental USA, 33 hours, 32 minutes. Big congratulations to him. He says he was moved over and over again when I felt the way the miles and the miles of generosity of people giving to the city gospel mission. Heard from my team early on in Death Valley National Park that we hit our goal of raising $5,000 for the programs for the homeless and individuals in recovery, a mark that was double our original goal. We doubled our goal again, and together we have raised $8,900. Wants to thanks everybody for contributing and sharing. Says, what a journey. To be honest, I didn't think I was going to beat the record or had much of a chance once I arrived at Lone Pine, mile 122. Says it was totally depleted from the heat in Owens Valley and was eating and wasn't, I think he meant wasn't eating or drinking enough. Each mile depleted me further of the internal reservoir, and I would take half of a cookie or 3 or 4 chips. It was so hot and my body was depleted, yet nothing really appealed that we had in the crew vehicle, and I was dehydrated hanging on. I know how that is. A lot of times the stuff you bring to a race, the stuff you just aren't interested in. I always say I kind of crave novelty. Anything different and new is definitely good. Harvey goes on to say that he called Kelly and told her that he was 85% chance he would stop at Whitney Portal at mile 35. Told her I felt rough and was in no shape to go up the mountain. Told her Marshall's record was also far out of sight as we were arriving to the portal over an hour after his 135 time when he set the 146 record. So yeah, he was an hour behind when he got to the portal. She told me not to stop. That is still possible and I should go for it. Then he said, told his crew on the final 13 miles of the Portal Road that we would likely stop at 135. I really couldn't imagine going up to some of Whitney. And, you know, that's quite a climb in itself. You leave Lone Pine, it's nice. So you've been out in the desert forever. There's like one small little place, Stovepipe Wells, I think at mile 40, then something else at 70. And then you get to 120 miles. Lone Pine's a quaint little one stoplight town, but it's got hotels and fast food and people. And then you turn left and you go up to the portal, and it's just uphill. Probably one of the hardest half marathons you could ever do. And driving your little car kind of has trouble. So walking, running up it is definitely pretty rough, pretty intimidating. And so as he was going to go do the last 13, but then it says at mile 132 on the switchbacks up Whitney, told my friend and crew member, Michael Mendez, as he went past in the car, prepare for the trail. The final 11 miles from 8,600 feet to 14,500 of the 146 is a mountain trail from Whitney Portal to the summit. Michael got a big smile. We planned, and I saved him as my primary crew person for Whitney. And that's a big thing. You know, first, to do this, you've got to get permits, which I'm actually looking for a permit. My friends and I, we're going to do the High Sierra Trail, but I'm having issues where I just can't climb. So I'm going to drop them off in the Sequoias, hike with them a little bit, come back to Bakersfield, and then drive out and pick them up at Whitney Portal. And I'm hoping to maybe get a permit so I can hike out and find them. So he says, got to the portal at 135 and still wasn't convinced to go for the summit, but I thought if I go half a mile or even a mile on the trail, it will be further than I ever went when I previously ran from Badwater to the portal. Marshall Ulrich also messaged my crew to call him. So I called Marshall, told him I didn't know if I would even be able to summit, let alone go for the record. He told me that I could do it, to go for it, that he really believed I could still get the record. He was so supportive. Then it sounds like he, thankfully, he had some more support. It says Dave McCoy and his partner Tracy were also joining Michael and I, which made me feel a little better going for the summit. I felt that I had a bit more safety line in case something went poorly on the mountain, and that's definitely the case. It's good that he had 2 more people out there. Set off and we went fast. Something clicked. It felt like one of those days in the Appalachian Trail with my father when I was moving over rocks and climbing really fast. Part of me still felt we might have a chance. Kelly, my team, Marshall, all believed it was possible. I don't know until the final moment that we would actually make the record. I almost quit, but I'm so glad I stayed in there. We summited at 3:32 a.m., setting the new record by 22 minutes. Wow. And here he says, if you would have seen me stumbling the final 30 minutes, you might have wondered if we could make it. The thought crossed my mind. I still have to get off this 14,500 foot mountain. And I'll tell you, that's the part that's tough. So, the trail's not too bad. You get the trail camp. actually miles 4 to 6 when you leave Mirror Lake. To me, it gets rocky and kind of steep. Then the 99 switchbacks from Trail Camp up to Trails Crest. It's not bad. It's a really well-built trail. It's not that steep. But then you get on Trails Crest and you kind of goes up and down 100 feet here, 100 foot there. You get to the JMT Junction, and there's a sign that says 1.9 miles to go. And I'll tell you that takes me over an hour, like 2 hours. And it's the trail. And once you get on Trails Crest, it's not really a dirt trail. It's more just covered in rocks. There's a cliff on one side, and it's just slow going. And especially in the dark with a headlamp, and he's been up for so long, you definitely could make some mistakes. And then, of course, you're just so high. I mean, he's from Ohio area, so he's definitely not used to altitude. So he says, after spending no more than a few minutes taking in the moment and capturing photos, we retreated into the Whitney shelter. There were 3 guys in it already who were finishing the JMT, John Muir Trail. Marshall had warned me it would be cold, and I spent time in Boundary Waters with Dad. We were really cold, wet. I was unprepared, so I brought an outer shell of waterproof pants, jacket, gloves, per recommendation of Marshall, and a winter face mask. Even with all the gear after finishing such a distance, it was cold. I was so grateful to Davey, Tracy, and Michael. 146 miles from the lowest to the highest really is 157 miles because you have to get off the mountain. It took him almost 9 hours to slowly walk off the mountain using all the remaining energy. And that's definitely a long time to come down. So yeah, up there on top of the mountain, there's a cabin, not a cabin, it's a rock hut. And you can get inside there, and it's, definitely good to just kind of take a break and get out of the elements. I've done Whitney. I've climbed it 6 times. I failed the first 2 times. I turned around at 13,000 feet, and I turned around with a mile to go just because I got there and it was late afternoon, and you shouldn't be on the mountains. So like 1 o'clock, turned around, finally did it. And I think the first time I did it, it took me quite a long time. My best one I've ever done is 7 up, which is basic, and then 6 down. But I've come down in about 9 hours, and often when I take people up there, it's about 9 hours, and that's normal people. 9 hours is kind of it's a long time, but for someone like Harvey, so fast, I can't imagine 9 hours for him is definitely slow for him. So big congratulations to him. That was interesting on Twitter, which is what I kind of take this stuff from, Twitter and Facebook. Hanson Project, I always love their things. It says, anytime I have a rough day running, I remember the times when I was injured and unable to run at all, and I realize how fortunate I am. Even a bad run is a good thing. And, I made it till I started running in 1979. I made it all the way to 2020 with not an injury. And then I had that bad grease fall. And so every day when I'm out there training, I think of that. So I'm so glad that I'm now healthy. Then some interesting news that even though there's schools, most of the kids are not going to school. The Hershey Company says we're looking forward to our continued sponsorship of Run, Jump, Throw, a hands-on learning program that gets kids excited about physical activity. Check out the Run, Jump, Throw site for at-home PE class ideas. So parents out there with kids definitely might check that out. There's lots of good things online. Sure wish that kids could go to school, but it's just the reality of things right now. Another race cancellation, the St. George Marathon has been run without interruption for nearly 4 decades, but it's got canceled this year. And of course, it's been 43 years they've had it, but due to all the COVID stuff, they've canceled it. St. George Marathon is very well known, kind of a slightly downhill race, and lots of people go there to get their Boston qualifiers, and I've had athletes go there too. So that's kind of a shame. Then Kipchoge, who's going to be running the London Marathon against Bekele, he says, people often ask me how I manage to have a long and fruitful career. I believe it's because I am surrounded by many great people to train with. I believe success comes by working hard and laughing lots. And yeah, definitely finding a group of people to train with and share everything with is really great. I know I have some friends who I definitely like to talk to and meet up with and keep me motivated. And of course, then there's Mark Runner from the Real Dumb Runner Twitter, just to put us all back. He says, Wednesday motivation. Don't judge yourself against others. Judge yourself against your own impossibly high standards. Oh my. And some NCAA updates. Football has been canceled or postponed, a lot of it. And it says here that if one more conference calls fall sports, Division I cross country will officially hit the 50% threshold to cancel the championship conferences. And so there's quite a few conferences left, and any of them cancel, then we won't have college cross country. Last night I was out on the bike path doing some running and ran into some cross country kids. And I was a little confused. I thought their season was going to start till January, but here in East Kern County, they're going to start in November. So that's when winter sports starts. So unfortunately, they have to train on their own. They've been training all summer, not allowed to have coaches, and they won't be able to have a coach officially out there till November. But good 20, 30 kids out there. And I really look forward to seeing them run this later this year. Speaking of running, recently Hoka won one, and a lot of the running companies who have teams have been putting on little track meets. And Stephanie Rothstein the other day, who's a marathoner, she just ran like a 4:38 mile. And, her best in high school and college was like only under 5 minutes. But it's funny, her kids have said, after the race last night, Hudson and Riley said, "Mom, we're sad you didn't win." I told them sometimes winning isn't always about first place, but it can be about running the best you've ever done and improving your personal time. But obviously, I like winning too. And speaking of fast miles, 45 years ago on this day, New Zealand's John Walker was the first person to clock a sub 350 mile. And with 200 meters ago, I knew that I was on world record pace because Dwight Stones was yelling at me with a stopwatch in his hand. Of course, Dwight Stones is our Olympic high jumper, won gold in that, and he's often doing commentating now on lots of track and field events. And then I will leave you with Brad Stoltenberger, who I often like a lot of what he says. And he says, simple practices that set you up for success and longevity. Physical movement for at least 30 minutes a day, avoiding foods wrapped in plastic, reading at least 20 minutes every day, sleeping 7 to 9 hours, engaging a community at least a few days per week. Amazing how far this gets you. I do most of that except the sleep part, but that's just kind of for me a genetic kind of thing. So that is Endurance Noise Live for August 12th, 2020. And as always, stay healthy, be boring, not epic.